George from the University of Nicosia's Master in Digital Currency. For this course, we're interviewing Eric. Please forgive me if I spell your name bad. Larchevêque.
Larchevêque.
Okay. My French is worse than your English, probably. We're interviewing him because he's the CEO of Ledger, and they're making hardware wallets. And we have him here today with us to talk to us about the importance of key management and how hardware wallets can help in the wider adoption of Bitcoin. Thank you for being here, Eric.
Well, thank you for having me. So, yeah, Ledger, basically what we are trying to do is to bridge the gap between trusted computing and cryptography. So Bitcoin is based on cryptography, and this is one of the first application which is fully decentralized. And we will see that in the future, more and more application will be decentralized. Maybe we will have a Reddit decentralized. They are speaking about that. Maybe we will have Open Bazaar, which is a trading platform like eBay, but fully decentralized. And everything, they all have something in common when you speak about decentralization, is that of course you do not have third parties on which you can rely. So it means that you need to get hold of something, of what you are, who you are, or what you have. And usually these are private keys, cryptographic private keys. And when you have private keys, you have possession of Bitcoins. This is your online identity, or it can be the credential to your shop, for instance. And these private keys, they are information, very sensitive information, because it's not like passwords, which you can change, which you can put second factor on. If you leak your private keys, basically you lose everything which is related to these private keys. So you need trusted computing to take care of these private keys. And if you look at the PCs, Mac, iPhone, Android, these are not devices and computer which has been done in security, with security in mind. This is why Ledger is working on a range of products for consumers, for enterprises, with the sole objective of securing and managing private keys. And our first product is, yes, a Bitcoin hardware wallet, but this is the first step of a quite large product line for consumers and enterprises.
Right. So what would you describe is this succession of products that you're about to introduce to the market? And how, if you could give us a short sentence on how you feel each product is going to influence the Bitcoin market, its adoption, and the understanding of people on how they should secure their private keys better.
Yeah. So our first product is the Ledger Wallet Nano. So it is a secure element, and it is very important. So it's on USB form factor. So here you can see it looks like a USB key, but it's not a flash drive. This is a smart card, and this is the exact same technology that you will find in chip and pin credit cards, which you can find a lot in Europe, but not so much in the US. And so the secure element, basically, it's a secure microcomputer. You have RAM, you have a CPU, and it's running a firmware, an operating system, which is the Ledger OS. And what this hardware wallet does, it's just to get hold of your private keys, to secure them. The main advantages and properties of a secure element is that it is highly resistant to side channel attacks, physical attacks. It means that even if someone gets your key physically, it is extremely expensive just to extract the secrets from that. You need a lab, you need hundreds of thousands of euros, and it will take 1 month. It is extremely complex. And also, it has some resistance against side channel attack. It means that if you want to make timing attacks, changing the voltage, do all kinds of attacks on the chip, it is extremely resilient. So this is why it is very important to use secure elements when you want to make security. and not using general purpose microcontrollers, which you can break very easily using standard methods. So this is a hardware wallet, a physical hardware wallet you put in the USB drive of your USB port of your computer. To communicate with the hardware wallet, you need Chrome or Chromium. There are browsers, and they have native HID support, which means they can talk directly to the chip. And then the UX, the app, the Chrome app, will ask you to enter a PIN. And when you have the correct PIN, it will unlock the chip. If you put 3 wrong pins, it will just reset the chip to factory settings. And then it will ask the secure element just to derive all the public keys so it can reconstruct the balance. And when you want to make a payment, it will ask the chip to make the signature of this transaction. And there will be a second factor, because as you can see, there is no screen on that. It's a very tiny piece of hardware. So you need a screen, you need a second factor, because if you do not have that, then how do you know that a malware has not changed the address on which you want to send the funds? So this second factor, in fact, you have either a physical security key on which you have to enter some code, it's a cryptographic challenge, or you can pair a smartphone, and when you make the payment, it will push your smartphone, and you will have the secure screen on the smartphone, and then you can confirm the payment. And this way you can have a very secure solution with the second factor in a very tiny and compact device, which retails for 29 €, which is very affordable. Because in our vision, we want to make these hardware wallets a commodity. Why? Because we believe that Bitcoin and all other cryptographically based applications can only success if you have the correct layer of securities. If you look in the media in the past months or past years, you can see a lot of hacks, troubles, problems related to loss of or leakage of private keys. And even recently, Bitstamp got $5 million stolen because they got their private keys stolen. And so for the end user, it is very important to have very affordable and efficient solutions. And the next step for that, because this is good, this is very efficient, but you still need to have the physical device with you. So it means you need to buy one, and it's not easy. You really need to want to get it. So for some people to have this physical piece of hardware is very reassuring, because they can measure in their head, they say, okay, Bitcoin is here, so I understand better, it gives some sense of ownership. But the next step for the hardware wallets is to be integrated directly inside your smartphone, but not in the Android operating system, because it is not secure enough. The latest generation of smartphones, and mainly Samsung smartphone like the Galaxy S6 or the Note 4, they have what we call a trusted execution environment. This is a way for the CPU to run another operating system in a secure way, with a total isolation between the normal world and the secure world. And this way you can have your hardware wallet, the Ledger operating system on which I was talking before, virtualized and running inside the secure elements of the Android phone. So it means that when you want to make a payment, you will switch from the normal world to the secure world, and in the same way you will have isolation, and your private keys will never be leaked to the Android OS. So this time, instead of having to order a hardware wallet, you will just be able to download it and install it directly on your phone, and you will get exactly the same level of security. So this is where we are going in terms of a roadmap for the consumers.
That's amazing, and I'm sure that most of us involved in Bitcoin have felt the need, or already have hardware wallets, or have felt the need to actually have either a trusted execution environment, whether that's a clean PC or or an area on which they know that the private keys cannot leak to the network. But what happens with you and when you're manufacturing the device itself? I know that you told us that the secure element makes sure that it's harder to leak the private keys outside or protect against potential attacks. But what's the steps that you're taking so that you're sure that your customers are sure that you don't have access to the private keys before they do?
Yeah, the question is, how do we audit hardware wallets? How do we audit these security systems, and how can a consumer can be sure that we do not have access to the private keys, or we do not have some kind of secret Konami code to leak these private keys on purpose. So, first of all, for a lot of reasons, like especially NDA reasons, we do not have the possibility to open source the code. It means that the firmware is not open source. It means that you cannot build yourself and install yourself, which would be the most trustless approach. So we have two, in fact, there are like two possibilities to audit, and even three. The first one is the certification. It is possible for anyone to run tests on this device and to prove, using a series of tests, that the device is acting the way it should be acting. This is the base of the certification, so you can just send instructions and be sure that it is signing what it needs to sign, etc., etc. But you are going to tell me that it's not possible to have, let's say, 100% coverage of the test. What is this or what is that? So it is true that in this kind of, right now with this product, you have to put some trust in Ledger. So the second part is that if you have this trust in Ledger, you need to make sure that this is a real Ledger product and that there has not been some interception between you order a product and maybe the NSA take this product, change it, and then you have a compromised product. So this is what we call attestation, and then I'm going to explain how we can become completely trustless. So attestation is the fact that each time you are going to insert this chip in your computer, there will be a cryptographic test on the chip, because inside we have private keys, which are the Ledger master private keys in a way, and it's going to sign a challenge, and only the chip with the Ledger private keys can sign correctly this challenge. So you will see that each time you put the Ledger Nano inside your computer, you will have some kind of attestation cycling, and then after you will have the cryptographic proof that this product is genuine. But to answer the main question, which is how can we trust, or do we need to trust Ledger? So for this product, yes, because of course you can run tests, but you can always have the tinfoil and say I cannot make 100% tests. So yes, in a way you need to trust Ledger that it's not going to have some rogue firmware. It is not possible for us to know the private keys at initialization because everything is decentralized. I mean, all the products that we are shipping are in factory mode, so you need to initialize it yourself. And we will not get, and you can, let's say, monitor the internet traffic and see that we are not sending to ourselves. And also, the Chrome app is open source. So you can also check that the Chrome app is not sending some strange packets to Ledger.
So essentially, we must have a random number generation taking place where the private keys are being generated, right? So yes. This is embedded in the hardware, I suppose.
It's not in the hardware. It is done, in fact, by the Chrome secure cryptographic generator. And then, once it's done, it is sent inside the hardware wallet. And all these parts are open source, so you can check that there is no leakage. And after, yeah, you can check the let's say the Chrome app is open source. But if you really want to have a trustless solution, you have two options. The first is to use multi-signature. Let's say you do a 2 of 2. Let's say you have 2 keys, and you use a CoinKite, for instance, as a manager of the wallet, and then you can be sure that it's impossible to leak anything, because it will require collaboration between 3 entities, and it's almost impossible. And the last part, the latest possibility, which is in our roadmap, in our philosophy, is that eventually we want to make all secure system open. Because right now, yes, it is closed. Because we have NDAs and we cannot open our source, and it's impossible anyway to distribute the libraries which will allow you to compile. And if you cannot compile, then even if it's open source, you don't know if what you have inside it is what you read from the source. So our next generation of hardware wallets will have a secure element and a non-secure element, like a normal microprocessor, for instance. And this normal microprocessor will be able to check what the secure element is doing. And everything on the check will be fully open source. So you will have the full possibility to audit in real time what's going on inside the secure element. And because the secure element is not connected directly to the outside, that everything goes through the open source verification system, then you can be sure that nothing wrong is going on. So this is, let's say, the next generation of open trusted computing that we are going to release.
I'm assuming that the NDA you have is with the chip manufacturers themselves, which do not allow you to open source your specifications to a level that I'm guessing you would like to open source it.
Yeah, it is not a choice from us to close source, because we have no problem to open source our firmware, and we believe that it will be even better, but we cannot, because we cannot reveal the API from the chip manufacturer. This is in our NDAs. And also, even if we've done it, it will not be possible for the end user to compile, because he will not have the SDK from the chip manufacturer. And if you cannot compile, then you have no way to be sure of the code that you are running.
All right. So would you like to tell us more about how someone can use your wallet with existing wallet software besides the Chrome app so far?
Yes.
And what can we do with a lot of users have started using HD wallets now, and it's very important for choosing different addresses each time and storing your keys through a master seed, essentially. Could we do these functions through Ledger? Exactly,
yeah. The Ledger wallet is HD wallet, hierarchical deterministic wallet, based on the BIP32, BIP44, and BIP39, which are standards from the Bitcoin. So what it means is that all your private keys and public addresses are derived from one source of entropy. When you initialize your Ledger wallet, you are going to generate 256 bits of entropy. And this entropy, you are going to encode it with 24 words. It's a human-readable way to write down your seed, which is much better than AF023B, because then it will be a nightmare. So you have 24 words, and this is your seed. And this seed, you can restore it on a Ledger wallet, but also on Mycelium, Multibit, and others HD wallet, because it's a standard. And it's very important, because it means that even if Ledger were to cease to exist, like to be bankrupt or to disappear or whatever, and this will not work because all our API will be down, the Chrome app will be down, and everything will be down, then it's an inconvenience, of course, but with this seed, with your 24 volts, you can restore anytime access to your Bitcoins. So this is very important because this way, it is really trustless. You do not have to trust that Ledger will be alive in 10 years. Even if we disappear, then okay, you will not be able to use our products, but maybe there are other products which are compatible with BIP39 seed encryption, and then you will be able to restore your Bitcoins on any kind of other wallet. And also, the Chrome app, as you said, is not the only wallet you can use. You can use the Ledger Nano with Electron. You can use it with Green Address, which is a multi-signature wallet. You can use it with Mycelium and using an adapter on your Android phone. So it works. Right now it's in beta, but it's going to be in production in a few weeks. So you will be able to use Mycelium with your Nano, the same seed that you will have on the Chrome app. And there is also third-party integrations with CoinKite, which I stated before. So you can use a multi-signature. You do, I don't know, 5 or 7s, and then you have 7 cards or 7 nanos, and you just put the nanos, and it's very easy to use. And also, we are working to integrate with other wallets, such as Copay multi-signature, for instance, and others which are in the work right now. But the idea is to have compatibility with the maximum of wallets. Because once again, we want to be a commodity, we want to be very horizontal in our vision, and that means that we want to have the maximum compatibility with all possible wallets. We do not want only to have the Ledger Chrome app. This is not the main stone of our vision.
It's great to hear. So far, you focused on private keys of Bitcoin, essentially. Is there any development towards using these private keys as a method for attestation, a proof of identity, essentially?
Yes. Recently, we have joined the FIDO group. So the FIDO is it's a standard group led by Google and others, which are working on using asymmetric cryptography to prove identity. Right now, you can use it for several factor with Google. Instead of having a code on a Google Authenticator, you just put a chip inside your PC and the USB, and it will give you the second factor. But in the same way, you can use these private keys to identify yourself on third parties. And with the Ledger Nano, we are compatible with BitID. BitID is just a protocol which allows you, by signing a message, a challenge with your private keys, to authenticate on a third-party service. So it is a very old idea to do that, but it is interesting and it is starting to take some usage now, because as you are already taking steps to protect these private keys, then there is no cost to use these private keys for authentication. And that is why it is very interesting to use the same kind of devices or to use the Bitcoin cryptography to do authentication. And this is our roadmap, and what we want to do with FIDO is to extend the standards to integrate the Bitcoin cryptography, so all hardware wallets can be compatible with the FIDO requirements. And then using a Ledger Nano, you will be able to use the same chip to do a second factor authentication directly on your Gmail, or you will be able to authenticate very quickly just by putting the chip inside the USB on any kind of other third party. And also, our firmware, or Ledger operating system, is also compatible with the crypto assets, which means that not only you can sign and verify Bitcoin transactions, but you can also sign and verify colored coin transactions or crypto assets. You can verify what you are signing, what you are sending, and all our line of products will be compatible with that, especially the enterprise solutions, because right now we see a lot of banking institutions, financial institutions, doing some tests or pilots using the blockchain and open assets. And again, they need to protect these private keys. And they need to have systems where they can have these private keys and to be able to sign and verify a high volume of transactions. And
exactly.
These systems have a name. They are hardware security modules, HSM, and basically it's this, but with the size of a server. And this is also in our line of products to enable enterprises with the same kind of security level for their blockchain-related application.
We've already started going into my next question, which is, I'd like to hear from you a wider perspective on how do you see hardware security and key management taking place in the next couple of years. We already know, and students know, that private keys can be used for other reasons as well. Do you see the hardware storage of the keys being them able to use it as a method of unlocking a door or accessing their car or enabling a payment, another type of payment in the future?
Oh yeah, absolutely. It is. I think this is the end of the password as we know it. Passwords are weak. People do not want to have many different passwords on many different solutions, and most of the time they are using second factor, either using an app or using SMS, and it is quite cumbersome. And this is why the easiest solution and the best solution is to get rid of passwords and to use directly cryptographically based authentication, so based on those private keys. And of course, a lot of this authentication will be done by external hardware wallets, but also they will be done in the future, I think, mainly on trusted execution environment systems, because it is already in your phone, so you do not need to have something else, because you already have your phone and you do not want all the time to have something different. Right now you can see a lot of vendors and a lot of people working on this kind of new authentication. You have an app, name is Clay. It's some kind of iPhone, Android app where you scan a barcode, and it's based also on the private keys and cryptographic authentication. But it is not trustless in the way that you have a central server. But all these FIDO authentication standards are really decentralized and trustless and rely on the private keys cryptographic authentication. And I believe that in a few years it will be the main source of authentication on the services, because passwords are too weak. Passwords cost billions because of phishing, because of leakage of information. So it is not a good way of securing stuff, and we are in a post-Snowden era, and now people start to think very seriously about what they are doing, how they authenticate themselves, and they are really, I think they are, for them, they are ready to learn something new and make the effort to switch, because they know that there is something at stake.
Yes, we've seen that privacy is starting to matter even more for the average user, whether that's PGP usage or encrypted communication channels, and a bigger awareness of what is going on with Bitcoin and why it is so important as a technology. So wrapping up, I would like to ask you for your general input on how you feel and what you feel will be the significance of professionals who are educated in Bitcoin and understand all these the little nuances of the technology and how this could influence the future and the marketplace, essentially. So I want you to tell us, according to your perspective, what kind of employment opportunities do you foresee that will be specially created to anyone that has a spherical understanding of how Bitcoin works, how blockchain technologies work, and what kind of avenues they will open in the future?
Well, there are a lot of startups in the cryptocurrencies industry, a lot of projects, a lot of people who want to do stuff, but there is quite a big shortage of engineers understanding the blockchain technology in a very wide sense. And I am pretty sure that in the same way that in the end of the 90s, people with a deep understanding of the internet, be it FTP, HTTP, SMTP, all the basics, made very good in their career. I'm pretty sure for the same idea, all people taking some time to understand the cryptography, the blockchain technology, the Bitcoin protocol, the wallets, everything will have the keys of having probably access to better projects with better fundings, and will have the opportunities to build stuff which will matter for the future. So we know from first hand that it is not easy to find good engineers in these matters. So today, spending some time to learn that, to understand this technology can be very valuable for the future. This is definitely true.
All right, wonderful. Eric, I want to thank you. I hope I didn't take too much of your time. I want to thank you for this interview. We'll be publishing it to the university students and to the rest of the world in the next few hours. So thank you for coming, Eric. This was George for the University of Nicosia, the master's degree in digital currency and the course on disruptive innovation. Thanks, everyone.